results from the studies that we've been conducting at Chegask and Pitarch related with liquid diets and enzyme supplementation on grower finisher pigs. Just as a brief introduction, I will say that we are looking at the processing effect on feed of liquid feeding diets. It is a very simple technique. It's just to mix water and feed, but there is a lot of things going on during the time that the liquid feed is soaking with the diet. There is some activation of endogenous and maybe also exogenous enzymes that will do some pre-degradation of non-strand polysaccharides that are present in the diet, and there is also some proliferation of good or bad bacteria depending on the conditions of the liquid feeding system. In the picture you can see some of the feeding system that we are using in Chegask. So the hypothesis for this study was that liquid feeding and soaking will increase nutrient digestibility compared to dry diets, and that pig growth and feed efficiency will be improved by enzyme supplementation. Therefore, to assess this hypothesis, the objective was to see to assess the efficacy of liquid feeding and pre-soaking of either full diets or the cereal fraction. For the people who is not related with the term soak, it just means to mix the water and the feed and leave it for a period of time. And then we also wanted to target the enzyme supplementation on pig feed efficiency and nutrient digestibility. So 2 experiments were conducted. The first one was conducted at IRTA in Spain, and there were 5 experimental diets where we were comparing dry diets versus fresh liquid diets and soaked liquid diets, where the full diet was soaked during 8 hours. And we also compared the enzyme and the non-enzyme supplementation. And the enzyme that we were using was shailanase and the beta-glucanase complex. In the following study that we conducted in Chegask, there were 4 experimental diets, and we were looking more into detail into fresh liquid diets versus soaked liquid diets. And in this case, we only soaked the cereal fraction of the diet during 3 hours. And we were also looking at the supplementation of shailanase and beta-glucanase on those diets. In the first experiment, there were 5 diets. The first diet was a basal diet in dry form, and the second experiment was the second diet was a dry diet plus the enzyme complex. And then we were looking at the same basal diet in a fresh liquid form with or without the enzyme. And finally, a 5th treatment where we had the soaked liquid diet during 8 hours plus the enzyme supplementation. They were all with barley-based diets, and the energy levels were set at 10 megajoules of net energy per kilogram. Regarding the results on growth performance, we have here the results for the 5 different diets. Can you hear me when I talk? Average daily gain was increasing numerically as we were doing more, as we were processing more the diet, and but this was not statistically significant. And we can see the same trend on average daily feed intake, and we can see a quite good improvement on average daily feed intake for the diet that was soaked plus the enzyme compared to the diet that was dry diet. And therefore we had the same trend in average daily gain and average daily feed intake, so the feed conversion ratio is still the same for all the diets. If we look further on the feed form effect on the diets, we can see here the same graph for the dry, liquid or soaked diets, and we can see here more this trend in more detail. So there is a big difference on the average daily feed intake for the diet that was soaked plus the enzymes. If we go now to digestibility, there is some, in here we can see the apparent total tract digestibility during the growing period of dry matter, crude protein, energy and phosphorus. there is some minor changes on the digestibility of dry matter, crude protein, and energy, and in all of them, soaking the diet plus the enzyme seems to improve digestibility. And what is kind of more relevant for us, there is a higher increase of total digestibility of phosphorus for the soaked and liquid diets. And we can see it better in this graph where we are comparing the feed form of the diet, where we have the dry, liquid, and soaked diet. And we can see an increase of phosphorus digestibility of the diets that were either liquid or soaked. We also look at the carcass quality of at the slaughter, and we look at the slaughter body weight, hot carcass, carcass yield, fat thickness, loin depth, and carcass yield. And there was no effects on any of these on this carcass trait. It's good to highlight that there was no difference on carcass yield for between dry diets, liquid diets, or soaked diets plus the enzymes. And some literature shows sometimes reduced carcass yield, but we didn't see any of this in our trial. We also look at the quality of the carcass, and there was also no any difference on the pH and the different traits of meat quality that we performed on the experiment. So, as conclusions of this experiment, soaking the diet plus enzyme supplementation may improve average daily gain, and this is mainly led by an increase of feed intake compared to dry diets. The liquid feeding improves phosphorus digestibility, and that's quite relevant from an environmental point of view as well. We got similar feed efficiency for dry, liquid, and soaked diets, and we also got similar carcass yield and meat quality for all the diets. I'm going to present now the results from the experiment 2, just as some more details about the experiment. We were testing again another celanase and beta-glucanase complex. We were looking more into detail now about this effect on soaked and fresh liquid diet. So we have a fresh liquid diet as treatment 1, the same fresh liquid diet plus the supplemented enzymes as treatment 2, and 3 and 4 were the same diets that were soaked during 3 hours, but the only fraction that were soaked of the diet was the cereal fraction of that diet. And in this case, we decided a time of soaking of 3 hours. And again, now we were looking at 2 different treatments where we could see the effect of soaked diet with or without enzymes as well. And in this case, the composition of the diet was quite similar, wheat and barley. And we also had wheat polar to the diet, because in this case we wanted to go a little bit down on the energy value of the diet to give some more room to the enzymes to show their potential. If we look now at the growth performance results of this trial, there were no interactions between the 4 treatments. So I'm going to show here the global effects of soaking and the enzyme supplementation. So the soaking effect on growth performance, we saw an increase on average daily gain, but this was a tendency. We didn't see anything on average daily feed intake or in feed conversion ratio. If we look into the growing and finishing phase of this trial, we can see that the average daily gain was improved from the growing phase, but it wasn't during the finishing phase. So this tendency that we saw on the global phase is coming from the growing phase, so from more younger animals than the later period. Now we are looking at the enzyme effect on growth performance, and we can see that all diets were the same regarding if they were supplemented with enzyme or not. In here we can see the enzyme effect on carcass quality, and what we saw in the slaughter actually was that the diets that were soaked, that the diets that had an enzyme supplementation had a higher fat deposition, because they were showing a higher fat depth at the moment of the slaughter, and this was leading to a lower lean meat percentage. We are hypothesizing here that maybe this could be because the enzyme was actually working on the diet, and maybe the animals had an increased energy availability because of the substrates that the enzyme was releasing. But maybe the pigs had insufficient amino acids for lean growth. That's just an hypothesis, and we are waiting for the digestibility results to confirm or not this hypothesis. As conclusions of this second trial, soaking the cereals during 3 hours prior to feeding improved average daily gain. The enzyme supplementation did not affect average daily gain, average daily feed intake, or feed conversion ratio. But however, the enzyme supplementation reduced lean meat yield, and we think that it could be related with the release of energy by those enzymes. As final remarks, we can conclude that the benefits of soaking liquid diets are an increase on average daily gain and average daily feed intake, and an increase on nutrient digestibility, which is especially remarkable for phosphorus. There is limited benefits of chyelanase and beta-glucanase in liquid diets. And for the future work that we are planning is about what should be the best soaking time, and if some pre-fermentation of the cereal fraction instead of the soaking could be a good idea to develop more, and then the phytase supplementation to liquid diets because of this effect with phosphorus digestibility, to see if there is any additional effect of phytase supplementation when the diet has been soaked. So I would like to acknowledge all the partners and all the co-workers, and especially Irta for allowing me to present part of the